And
Actually, what
yeah.
I said, like community can be like a click percolation method. Click, just click percolation. If
Yeah,
you install the index, then it will replace that pattern queries.
it cannot replace you. This is one way of evaluating pattern queries,
Yes.
right? You
So
can do that
you have a community structure also and click structure also.
clearly.
You have extra information.
Yeah. I mean, rarely is the case that you have a free lunch, right? So you cannot have the cake and eat it too is exemplified from the fact that in many settings your click constructions are not good enough. Linked open data, for example, turns out to be one. I mean, we can discuss this later on. And then your kind of queries that you get are not making use of the clique structure or the community structure, as you were saying. We can work this out. I mean, I'll show you some
I am
examples.
not aware of such type of effective searching which is possible with such a huge graph.
Yeah.
So I see that if click works, then community will work with some extra information.
No. Here you're looking for some clicks,
Yes.
right? It does not mean that every community need not be a click, right?
No. There is a lot of methods to make communities. Click percolation is also
One of them,
yes.
right?
So if I use the click percolation method to form the community,
Sure.
then we have a extra information which can reduce the search
Perfectly
in
right.
cases. And if it doesn't reduce, then it will work as a single.
Exactly. But if your query workload consists not of click but of some other triangles, then your clicks are no longer really useful.
Then in that case, clicks will not be useful.
Yeah.
Then that system will
So since you don't know what kind of query workload you are expecting, you need to come up with something which works in general. That's really the challenge. Okay. So now these graph problems, as we had studied in our high school and undergrad, was largely without addition of labels on these edges and nodes. So clearly Sparkle has this additional constraint of groundings and constraints that you may have on the labels.
Question. When you are really talking about the LOD, which is how do you use whichever tool you want, but how do you realistically capture the whole thing?
You cannot.
And yeah.
And
keep it updated.
Exactly. By definition, you cannot. So that's why you have to go back to the good old federated query processing solutions, which again database guys worked on earlier, but now with added twists that. So in fact, there is some work going on that front as well. So you have this big LOD. Nobody wants to give the data to you.
Right.
Everybody wants to maintain their data, curate it, keep the quality. They will only expose a Sparkle interface to you.
So their own index structure or whatever.
Exactly, they can have anything. Now, given a query, how do you decompose it in such a way that each one can run separately and then put them together?
So many of them can you download a lot of them.
No, I have downloaded
Yeah.
500 GB, but there are many databases where only Sparkle land is available. You cannot download them.
Yes. I mean, for example, MusicBrainz doesn't allow their database to be, because it's a very valuable data source. Why would they want to part with it? They make money on it, right?
So how that is linked open data? Where
Because
is the openness in it?
openness is because they allow Sparkle endpoints. You can access that data without paying any extra fees. That's not an issue.
But
They won't.
Sparkle query sucks.
Yeah. But they have restrictions on what kind of Sparkle can also. So in order to
Download everything with
exactly,
Yeah, a lot of
you cannot just say question mark, question mark, question mark.
things.
Just give everything.
I tried many things work, fails,
Yeah.
hangs, lot of issues.
Yeah. I mean, so there are some conditions under which you can be part of LOD consortium. So these conditions are relatively loose. They allow for maintaining your IP, right? I mean, these
Not
are.
so open is open.
This is the closest to open you can get to. Okay, so as open as you can get.
As open as it is.
Yeah, you have to balance money versus freedom, right?
Of course, it doesn't make any sense to download the entire internet onto your machine. Right?
That's true.
So you
That's
have to
true.
work in a federated environment.
But 500 GB are already downloaded and more is available.
Yes,
And that is not small.
that's not small.
500 GB is not small.
Yeah. At least for research, it's not small, right? For Google, it's trivial, but for research, it's a fairly huge data set, right?
Questions? Okay, thanks a lot.